Hello.
Hey, baby, what's happening? You blink. I'm so excited.
Guess what?
Did I see you're alive?
I am. I just got back not long. I've been spending the week at Steelers OTAs, and you're not allowed to report like specifics. That's like a big deal. You can't like give these specifics due to the NFL and different teams have different rules. But I want to give you one generality that is going to make you say, "Oh, okay." You know how hard of a sell I am. I'm like you. I'm a skeptic by nature.
You're going to say. I know what you're going to say.
Kenny Pickett's night and day in terms of his leadership. Like this weight has been lifted off of his shoulders from last year, especially at this time.
Yeah.
And I said this before to somebody. If you just didn't know anything about the dynamics of a team or whatever, and you just walked onto the field and said, show me who the leader is, even when they're stretching and just you'd point to Kenny Pickett. It has blown me away.
Okay.
Blown me away.
What I thought you were going to say, that is part of what I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say, after spending the time there, don't be surprised if the Steelers have a great season.
I don't know if that's the case, but what I do know is the comfortability quotient with the quarterback is night and day. There's no, who the big dog is. Last year, even all the way through camp, is it going to be Mitch? How many snaps is Kenny going to get or whatever? It's glaringly advantageous when you know who the person in charge is, right? It's like that in business. It's like that with anything.
Well, it's 100% accurate. You're right about that. And it makes sense. Last year, we didn't know. There's a bunch of unknowns. We didn't know. And, it makes perfect sense. He's got the work commitment. He's got everything. So, yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. And I will be the one that ventures out on the limb and says, don't be surprised when the Steelers have a great season. Because I really think, listen, they're plugged in. Every position looks so much better than it did last year. And last year, we missed the playoffs by one game. So, yeah, I'm saying division winners. I'm not saying wild card. I'm saying division winners.
I still think the Bengals are going to be very good, but Pickett is there. And, I'll tell you the other part, too, is Najee Harris. If people don't understand how big Najee Harris is in relation to the other running backs in the league and how physical he can be, I'm starting to warm to, and I know you love this style of football, I'm starting to warm to give them the football, ask the offensive line to do what they're supposed to do, get the hell out of the way, and knock people's teeth out.
I think it's not just what I like. It's what the city of Pittsburgh likes. It's what we were. And I believe Omar is really an old school kind of guy. And he wants to play smash mouth football. You can see it. You can see it by his draft picks. You can see it by his free agent signings. You can see it. That's what he's building, right? And I think, kudos to him. I think that the great part is what a balanced attack we'll have, because I believe Kenny Pickett is the guy also. I think there's no question. And the receiver core, your specialty positions there's not, how many people really, my question, I still have a question about Deontay. I really do. And I hope he can prove me wrong. I love the catches he makes when he makes them. I don't love the ones he doesn't make. But I think aside from that, you have some budding superstars about to break the lineup. And I think it's going to be really good. But one thing I want to say.
Let's hear it.
You might not like it.
Mm-hmm.
When you opened the show, I said, there you are, you're alive. Because I see all this craziness. And you've addressed it. It's crazy. I saw an article in today's Post-Gazette in which Mike Spack, who we both know and love, described the future of the Odyssey platform.
Right.
And I have to tell you, and I have spoken to him, the vision and the role that you are playing in that is like nobody else in town has that game. Nobody can do what you're doing or about to do. Nobody, in order to do what you're going to do, somebody had to have the vision, right? And
Oh,
somebody,
yeah.
and I have to tell you, and I'm not going to share that vision. I mean, that will be up to you when and if you decide to share it. But I'm so excited for you. I really am, to see what a great role you're playing in the future of this platform. It's really exciting.
Yeah, and the part that I'm most excited about is, one, we're never going to run out of story ideas or people to feature or people to talk about or two in Pittsburgh.
Right.
But more so than that, leaps it forward into this. You never run out of a captive audience for compelling sports stories in Pittsburgh. We're so lucky that this isn't some other place where you've gone through all the stories. People, you can serve them compelling stories and they want them every day.
They do. And they do. And, you know, when we started even this show, we said, is there enough content 52 weeks a year to do this? And, you know, because most of it was Steelers, black and gold. We talk about the Steelers. But we could talk about the Steelers 52 weeks a year and we wouldn't lose a viewer, right?
You're right about that.
We could still do that. But now you mix in the things you're talking about, and you get a little spark from the Pirates lately. You know, a little spark. I'm excited about the hockey GM. That's another brilliant move. To me, it's like hiring him is like Spoelstra in Miami, and it's like who's the football coach? What's his name?
And McDaniel in Miami.
Yeah, and this is the same type of a hire, in my opinion. These are the guys that are our future, and they think differently, they do differently, and I'm going to put Michael Spack in that. I'm going to tell you Michael Spack is that model also, which is what allows him to think the way he does. I happen to think Michael Spack's the best general manager across the United States. I really do. First of all, he's got the vision, but then he's got great people like you to execute that vision. But you couldn't execute it if you didn't have somebody saying, this is what I think our next step is. So I'm really excited for you, and I'm excited for Michael. And I'm excited for me because I'm going to ride you like a racehorse.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing to do. Man, you said that about Dubas. That's an interesting thing about the president of hockey operations. You know what I think is happening? And you bring up Spoelstra and you bring up the football coach in Miami, Mike McDaniel. What I think is happening is finally we're seeing the old guard, that's the way we've always done it, die off, and people not be afraid to push them into their graves.
Yes, 100%. And, you know, it's even in my business. My business has changed more in the past 2 years than it did in the last 50, because it's the willingness to look at doing things differently. And you either evolve and survive or you die. And it's not even sometimes evolve. It's just, man, it's quick, it's nimble. You got to be quick, and you have to be able to adapt, or you're not going to be relevant.
Well, one of the things that used to be in all businesses, it's business wide, industry wide. One of the worst things that people would hold on to, that ended up being their downfall, was, well, that's the way we've always done it.
100%.
You know,
oh, I hate that. Oh,
and we're seeing with those guys that you just mentioned, with Dubas, with McDaniel, with Spoelstra, that's not the way they've always done it. Spoelstra, if you look back, and I did this whenever they were in a couple of days ago, you know, he started as a film intern. You know, he didn't start as like a traditional basketball player, then basketball coach. He started plugging film and worked his way up.
I do know that. Yes.
And so I love that vision. I love that stuff like that. To get into the technique, the part of it with Dubas now that I think is a practical hockey thing, that's why I don't think Mike Sullivan is safe forever with the Penguins. I think if they start losing, or if they're not where they want to be at Christmas, he might say, hey, you're not just hanging around because you're hanging around and you won before. We're doing things differently.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's as it should be, right? You know, I don't disagree with that at all. But I do think our hockey coach will survive, and I do think he will win.
Will they win another Stanley Cup with the big three?
Man, you're tugging at my heartstrings. I don't know. I mean, I can't commit on that. I don't know. I think I don't know. I mean, youth is a wonderful thing, and with youth comes speed. I don't know. I think my heart says yes, they will and they can, or they can and they will. But I do think I don't understand. My biggest question about the Penguins is how what's his name ever got hired to begin with.
Hextall and Burke,
yeah,
both
Hextall.
of them.
How did Hextall ever get the job? I mean, I don't get that at all.
Well, everything Mario Lemieux touches turns to gold, except people seem to forget he's the guy that hired Ron Hextall, which is kind of crazy to me.
It is crazy. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Before we walk away from some of this, who do you like tonight? Basketball.
Denver.
Yeah, it's hard not to like Denver. As much as we like Spoelstra, I love Spoelstra. He's strategically, he's sound. Just not sure he has the horsepower there to overcome. Because I really don't think Miami should have won the game Sunday night.
Can I make a statement here that you'll find interesting? Now,
yes,
my 12-year-old twins. My son Declan loves NASCAR. My son Darren loves all sports, right?
Yes.
But when I listen a little bit to the conversations they have with their friends, or I see the messages they send here and there, the NBA at that age has that age group absolutely, from a pop culture standpoint and from a playing standpoint, whatever, it has them captivated. They know the NFL players. They don't know many baseball players at all. They know a couple hockey players here and there because it's Sidney Crosby and whatever, and it's Pittsburgh. The NBA has such a strong reach with that age group, and it has a strong reach in the country. But I think we forget about it because we're in Pittsburgh and it's not an NBA town. But the youth, like, case in point, if I say, do you guys want to buy a jersey? NBA is the first one they go to. They want to buy. Absolutely.
So do you think that's now just when it's NBA finals, or is that throughout?
No. They will buy soccer jersey before a baseball jersey. A lot of those kids.
That I can understand.
But absolutely, the NBA, the reach that it has for the younger kids is, even in a non-NBA town, is gigantic. My daughter wakes up every day after the NBA and through the playoffs, and the first thing she does is she doesn't look at the Pirate score. She'll look at the NBA scores first.
That's pretty incredible. But do you think then, I'm going to serve you back the same question we've addressed before. Does that change your perspective on whether Pittsburgh could sustain an NBA team?
Not enough population. I still think that. I look at, some cities that are kind of like us, and you got to have more population to have or they would have to swap out hockey for the NBA. I honestly feel like that.
You could never swap out hockey here, in my opinion, but I think you could swap, and maybe the same for baseball, but I think you could. Baseball would be the most expendable to me. But
if they had basketball, people would go crazy for it. Absolutely.
I tend to think so. And I don't know, you might know this because you do know everything. What is the NBA team with the lowest population count?
Sacramento?
I don't know.
Maybe?
I don't know.
I would think.
And they do, but they don't have any other team.
Right. Yeah, I would say probably, just off the top of my head, thinking about it, probably Sacramento would be that team.
Yeah. I mean, it's just idle conversation because we can't create a team.
Right.
Here. But yeah, I think they could. And I think it's almost, only the strong survive. If you put them
or Oklahoma City. I don't know how many people live in Oklahoma City.
Probably nobody that wants to.
Oh, have you ever been to? Don't go. I've been to. You could take, for me, you could take Cincinnati all the way to Vegas. All I need is Chicago and Dallas. Other than that, you can have it.
Okay, here's a question. This is random. This is how my brain thinks. My brain's just like laser show everywhere.
Uh-huh.
Greatest NBA player of all time.
Bill Russell.
Really? Wow. Now that's a surprise statement. I watched something on Instagram. You know, you get the stories. It's so cool. And sometimes I'll just keep. I mean, I'll be up for hours. I saw one with Kobe.
Okay.
And they asked Kobe if somebody was talking to him, like real heavy talk in a game. And Kobe said, "Does it bother you?" And Kobe's like, "No." He says, "They can't sit at my table. They're not even close to who I am. Why would it bother me? They can't have a seat at my table." And I just thought that was so cool for him to say that, because he could back it up.
Yeah.
But then of course you have Jordan, and I watched that movie, and that was awful. Did you watch Air?
No, but I do know Sonny Vaccaro some, and I think the real story, like if it's not a documentary, I don't want to see actors portray it.
Yeah, and you know the way they portrayed Michael. Michael wasn't in it, and he was only really in the shadows. It was really kind of weird. The story was funny. It was fun. I'm not sure. I didn't realize Sonny had that big of a role in Michael Jordan's future and career. But it's hard. I mean, Magic Johnson, what is he, a 6'9" point guard? I mean,
right.
Where do you find a 6'9" point guard?
Well, the real answer is probably Jordan. I just said Bill Russell. The real answer is probably Jordan, but Bill Russell's right there. I think you're right about Magic. Now there are guys that big that handle the ball, but in his era,
no, there wasn't.
There wasn't.
But you have Magic, you have LeBron, you have Michael, and you have Bill Russell, and that would be the four. My four. I don't know that you can award it. I don't know you can award that title to just one person, because their games are so different. LeBron is an absolute, just crazy physical specimen, right?
People have no idea unless you've seen him close up in person, and I have a bunch of times.
I have.
He looks like an NFL tight end.
He's a physical specimen with such athleticism. It's insane. I mean, honestly, I don't know how you even play against him.
Well, somebody who then isn't in this conversation, greatest of all time, but one of the marvels in NBA history is that Steph Curry scored so many points and is so slight of stature. That's incredible.
You know what? I have a local guy here who is a shooting coach, well known. And I'm going to tell you, if I'd put this bet on DraftKings, okay? Plug the DraftKings.
Yeah.
Okay? I would put this bet on DraftKings. On a day, everybody free, mine's free, mine's clear. Steph Curry shooting three-point shots. Greg Cercone shooting 3-point shots. Greg Cercone beats him.
With nobody else on the floor, not needing to get open, though.
Yes, but just mono and mono.
Okay.
Greg Cercone beats him. Shoots 100 shots. Greg Cercone beats him.
All right.
I'm telling you, I really believe that. Yes, he's a friend. He was also my son's basketball coach, which is where we met him. But that's what I think. But you bring back Steph Curry. Yeah, he's the greatest of all time. And then you did add a little something there when you say, on the floor in a game time shots are a little different than just basically isolated shooting. So I get that. But, you go back to that conversation. I loved watching Michael Jordan play. Were you old enough to see him play?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was younger, but the way that he played every possession, like it was Game 7 of the NBA Finals. There's a certain Kobe did that a lot too. There's not many people that did that in all the sports, any sport.
Magic did it, but you never knew it because that smile was so electric. And I lived in Los Angeles during those Showtime, that era, and man, I have to tell you, going to a Laker game with the Magic and the James Worthy and Michael Cooper, and I mean, unbelievable energy, electric. Jerry West was the general manager of the team. Jerry Buss was the owner.
Nicholson sitting on the floor.
Nicholson,
it's crazy.
And he's still sitting on the floor.
Yeah. The part that separates Magic from Jordan, and neither's right and neither's wrong, whenever the big-time situation was happening, it is a gigantic moment in the game, in a playoff situation or whatever. Magic Johnson may be just as valuable breaking somebody down and passing it to somebody, to Rambis or to Worthy or to Kareem for a layup. That's a certain skill set, and that is incredible. Everybody in the building knew, though, that Jordan was going to take the shot. Yeah. That's where they're different.
Yes, and what I say all the time when I have these conversations is Michael Jordan alone is probably the greatest person to play the game. He made himself better. Magic Johnson made 4 other people better. He made 4 other people great. And to me, if I'm hiring a guy, I want the guy that's going to make the whole team great. I want the Magic Johnson. I would take Magic Johnson over Michael Jordan.
I agree. Byron Scott doesn't get open jump shots if it's not for Magic Johnson.
100%. 100%. He made how many titles did we win? 5, 6?
Yeah. I mean, what he did in getting bit players involved, enrolled AC Green in no offensive skills. AC Green
probably couldn't play anywhere else.
Right.
Yep.
So, man, what a conversation, Richard.
I know, it's great. But I'm going right to DraftKings, and I'm going to bet on tonight's game.
All right, I'm going to double down. I will talk to you next week. Wonderful thing. I like that lapel, by the way. You need to show that off more.
Well, thank you. I like the hat.
Yeah, well, not a problem. Yeah, I'm a big Ford guy. You know that.
I know. We got to get you some more stuff because I think you need it.
We'll get it figured out. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Cole.
See ya.